This episode has been brought to you by Manscaped. The new Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra is every man's cheat code to look good, feel good, and turn the page on confidence this year. Go to manscaped.com, use the code GULCH20 for 20% off plus free shipping today. This week on the Heart of the Gulch YouTube show, we sit down with musician/songwriter Dillon Carmichael. In our episode, Dillon talks about life on the road, his newest single, No Matter How Hard I Try, and his upcoming album, Keepin Country Alive. Let's check out the episode. We are in the Heart of the Gulch. I'm your host, Tony Mendoza, and today I'm very excited for my guest. Not only has he played with so many legends, he's a legend himself. His family legacy is amazing. We got the one and only Dillon Carmichael in the building.
Hey, thanks, man. That's very kind of you.
Hey, man. How you doing, man?
Oh, man. Wonderful. Just motivated, ready to conquer the country music business.
Well, you got your album coming out. You got to let them know the name of the album, when it's coming out.
Sure. Yeah. So June 13th, mark it on your calendars. It's called Keepin Country Alive. I've never been more excited for an album. It's just, I'm so excited.
Bro, when I'm like, this is what I was trying to tell you before we got on film here, because I wanted to tell you this so bad. So we just took a trip out to Nashville's Playground by the Beach. I'm guessing you know where that's at.
No, what is that? Oh my
gosh,
man.
Oh,
you're talking about out like in
Destin, brother.
Oh,
Destin, brother.
I've never heard of this.
So, Santa Rosa Beach. We're out on the beach.
That's like Pensacola.
Exactly, you got it.
Yeah.
And when I tell you how much music we were playing from you that whole time we were there, you have Son of a, you have Hot Beer, you have Paychecks and Long Necks. We were vibing on the beach to your music, man.
I did my job.
Has anyone ever told you that your music, when they listen to your music, they can already envision the show?
No, I've never heard that, but that is the highest of compliments.
Dude, I haven't been to a show yet, but I can tell you right now, from your music, I can picture us being at Green Hall or Floor's Country Store, the AT&T Stadium, and people dancing, people having one heck of a time.
Man, we like to rock it, man. It's high energy. We only do one slow song, and that's Son of a, and that does two things. It keeps obviously the tempo through the set list perfect, up tempo, and then it also makes Son of a more special. You see what I'm saying? So we have a high energy show, man. I got that. You were when we walked in earlier, you were listening to Skynyrd. Lynyrd Skynyrd's my favorite band of all time. I love that rock and roll. I got that in my spirit, you know.
Well, actually, then I did my job, because I was trying to think of who you're inspired by from your music.
Yeah.
And I was like, number one, he definitely listens to Skynyrd. And I was like, also, he'll listen to 90s country. So that's something that you guys may not know that I do. When my guests come into the Heart of the Gulch, I'm usually playing music that brthey've listened to in their life to get them immediately relaxed. So did I do my job?
You did your job, brother.
Hell yeah, man. Well, speaking of which, we got to talk a little bit more, because you got a single. By the time we're filming this, you got a single coming out on April the 11th. Let them know what that is.
Yeah, so No Matter How Hard I Try, it's out there where everybody listens to music, but it's a beautiful love song. I really, really pushed myself as a vocalist on this one, and so I'm just really proud of it. And I did not write it, so that's okay, because may the best song win. I'm in the business. Yes, I write songs, and I wrote 9 out of 14 on this album, but I'm in the business of evoking emotions in people, helping people through, maybe make them think of their lover, or make them want to call their mama, or make them cry, whatever that emotion is. So I'm always trying to do that. And so I did record this beautiful love song, No Matter How Hard I Try. I'm excited.
Man, it's when I think about your music invokes a lot of emotions. Now, when going through your music and your discography, especially with Son of the album, what do you think the term that I use to describe it? It's funny.
Okay. I don't know. Throwback or nostalgic, maybe? I don't know.
Intoxicating.
Oh, okay.
In both ways.
I love that.
Yeah, man. It's your music is intoxicating, man. It puts you in a vibe. It gets you to where you need to be. You got slow songs, you got fast-paced songs, you got songs about drinking, working hard.
Yep.
It really speaks to not only a person that has a good time, but the working person.
Right.
And I'm guessing when you kind of got into music, that was your number one thing, kind of growing up from kind of the mud and just working your way up.
Yeah, I grew up around a lot of blue collar, folks, and also I grew up in a farm community, so agriculture and stuff. So hard work has always been instilled since, during my raising. So, it's always been really important to me. All my hometown folks, when I left for Nashville, they said the famous, never forget where you came from. Mm-hmm. And, so that's important to me. I've always held that near and dear to my heart to always remember the folks that are out there working while I'm over here living my dream, doing something I love. They're working their hind ends off, So I like to sing songs for the blue collar folks, just like you mentioned.
Well, you said it a few times. I was listening to your interview with Tracy Lawrence.
Yeah.
And you said that you cannot believe that this is your job.
Yeah, no, I can't. It's crazy. I worked security before this. I was a bouncer. I had my security license. I was legit. I mean, I had plans of opening my own security company at some time, and because I literally did not believe that this was going to happen. Now, that being said, I was working towards that, and doing all the things that I could do to make that happen. But I'm a realistic thinker, and so I was like, the realistic thing right now is that I need to work towards opening my own security business. So I am, by the grace of God, I get to do what I love, and it's just incredible. And yes, I'm so thankful every day, and just totally in shock every day that I get to continue to do this. I've been 8 years without a what I call a real job, but yeah, you never work a day in your life when you're doing something you love. So I do encourage everyone to work towards eventually doing something they love doing.
I can't believe that though, because when I hear your voice, especially on wax, when I hear it on, mastered and everything, I cannot believe by any doubt that you had in your mind that you were not born to do this.
Well, man, mastering the craft of singing and songwriting, I haven't always been as confident in the studio as I am now. I've not always been as confident as a songwriter. Did I have the potential? Yes, but I wasn't hitting as many nails on the head back then as I am now. It's a craft, and so I just simply wasn't as good at that time as I am, and so and I still have a lot of growth.
Yeah, 100%
to go. But yeah, it has been very challenging to master the craft of songwriting and singing and performing and being social. I'm an introvert.
Yeah.
Being social and breaking the ice there. So yeah, it's awesome, man. I just believe, like I said, grew up around hardworking people. I believe, well, if I'm doing something I love, why wouldn't I work as hard at that as my buddies are at something that, some of them don't like their jobs, but they get to be home every night at 6 o'clock.
They get a paycheck to get some long necks, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
So, it's absolutely crazy to me, because when I think of all the times that I listen to music, I'll let you get a drink of that right there. First of all, what are you drinking on?
Weller 12 year.
Oh, yeah. I like that. See, I'm drinking on some Nelson's Greenbrier, so I love them too.
Yeah.
You're from Kentucky.
Yes, sir.
And right now, while we're filming this, Kentucky's going through a pretty hard time with all the storms.
Yes.
But talk to me how important Kentucky, the Bluegrass state, is in your blood.
Yeah, it's where I was born and raised. It's I still go back there every chance I can. All my family still lives in Kentucky. Kentucky is so awesome. It marries all the awesome things about the North and all the awesome things about the South all in one state. And Kentucky is a very successful state, but it's a state that's full of wonderful down-home people that'll give you the shirt off their backs, and it's just a great place to be from. Obviously, bourbon comes from Kentucky, one of the best gifts from Kentucky ever. Yeah, but no, it's awesome, man. I think about home all the time. Nashville has become a home to me, but it'll never be number one home.
Does it feel? I agree with that. From San Antonio, Texas, I can tell you right now that I love Nashville, and I get really giddy when I have a Texas country artist in that chair because we immediately relate.
Yeah.
But also, you tour out in Texas quite a bit, which we're going to get to later. But, you know, when I think about Kentucky, and I think about all the time I've been up there bourbon hunting, or not even bourbon hunting. I haven't been to, we've been to Keelan.
Yeah. Oh,
And I love Keelan.
That's my second home right
there.
there.
Man, first of all, talk about Keelan, because this is about the time of the year.
Yeah.
And this will be out before the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite? Is it Keelan or is it Churchill?
Oh, I've never been to Churchill Downs.
Oh, really?
No,
Me either.
Yeah, no, that's like, you know, that's where all the fancy schmancy people go. You know, not really. I mean, anybody can go, really. But no, Keeneland is where I grew up. I mean, Keeneland is 45 minutes from my hometown, which is Bergen, Kentucky. And so just right outside of Lexington. Keeneland's awesome. I mean, it's got such a long history. It's kind of overshadowed by the Kentucky Derby a little bit, which is fine because the Kentucky Derby is the holy grail of horse racing. But Keeneland is a great spot. They have basically, you're going to see all the horses that are going to run in the Kentucky Derby eventually, but you're going to see them when there's not as many people. And it's like, it's basically like going to see your favorite country artist at like a small venue,
like Whiskey Jam.
When next year they're going to be in arenas and you have to pay thousands of dollars to see them.
Megan Maroney, literally.
Yeah, literally. Great example. You know, I mean, it's Keeneland is home. When you talk about Keeneland, I think home. You know,
when you're talking about Nashville not feeling like home, and I get it, right? Yep. Your first home's always going to be where you grew up,
right.
But at the same time, Nashville's not very far from Kentucky.
No, it's not. And I was blessed in that way. I had a lot of friends when I first moved to Nashville, a lot of friends coming up that were struggling because they missed home, and their home was like Washington. It's like, you know, they can't afford to get a plane ticket home, you know, and I can just drive there in 3 hours. So, yeah, very blessed to be so close to Music City. But like you said, Tennessee is my second home, and I just love it so much, and it resembles Kentucky in a lot of ways.
It's not as pretty. You know, speaking of, you know, we got to take a quick break real quick because we got to keep talking about Keepin Country Alive, that album that's coming out in June.
Yep.
But we got to pay the lights first, so shout out to the sponsors. We'll be right back with Dillon right after this. This episode has been brought to you by Manscaped. The new Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra is every man's cheat code to look good, feel good, and turn the page on confidence this year. Go to manscaped.com, use the code GULCH20 for 20% off plus free shipping today. So Keepin Country Alive. Talk to me about that song. First of all, have you shot the music video yet?
No, I haven't done a video for that one yet. I would like to, and I think we will, certainly. No, it's, man, for me, it was a cry out of like, I know there's still people out there that's growing up right now the way that I grew up in some of these little country towns. And so basically it was like one of my biggest things for when I'm writing a song and I want to relate to the audience, I play to my crowd, if that makes sense. 100%. Now, everyone welcome. If somebody is curious and they're listening to my music like, man, that's I didn't grow up this way, but this is a cool song, that's fantastic. Everyone is welcome. But overall, I like to play to folks like me, you know, and so that's just me writing what I know. They told me when I came to town, write about what you know, mm-hmm. Classic saying there. So that's just me doing that. You know,
I think about the song and you're talking about so many different topics, right? Yeah. You're talking from a kid that's mowing grass just so he can get the gas to go see the girl.
Yep.
And that is so relatable. Yep. That is something that we all have done growing up. Doesn't matter if you're from Kentucky or Timbuktu. Yeah. You're probably cutting the grass somewhere and you're making some money when you're growing up.
It's been so cool to see that song connect with people, man.
It's important because I agree with you 100%. I think you play to your crowd, and your crowd is that blue collar, that entire great environment. I know you enjoy touring. Where are some of your favorite places to tour?
Yeah, man, Texas is one of them. You know, Texas is always a priority when we're talking about touring early in the year. We always want to book a good Texas run, but you know, Texas has its own music industry, and it's challenging to, if you're not, you know, busting your hind end out in Texas a lot, meaning touring pretty much all year in Texas, it can be hard because there's a circle there that they're like,
Really? I didn't know that.
No, it's challenging. You have to gain their respect, but I respect them for that, if that makes any sense. But favorite places to play, I love California, believe it or not.
There's nothing wrong with that.
It's a absolutely beautiful state, and I've met some wonderful people. Country is countrywide, like old Brantley Gilbert said in that song. There's country people everywhere, and so I've enjoyed spending time there. Obviously, home, Kentucky, love playing Kentucky. Love Nashville, love Tennessee, playing there. It's cool to people ask me all the time. They're like, "Do you ever play in Nashville?" Or they'll be like, "What bar in Nashville do you play in?" I'm like, "Well,
we're not there anymore."
If the Grand Ole Opry is considered a bar, then because that's where I play in Nashville. I save my Nashville show dates for offers from the Opry, which is such a blessing.
Talk about that.
Yeah,
that is something that is like, when we talk about historic venues, we're talking about the Red Rocks.
Yeah.
It's one of those historic venues. You talk about, like, I'm going to always give shout out to Green Hall. Shout out to those people. Nashville.
Yep.
It's the Grand Ole Opry and WSM Radio.
Yeah, man. My goal in 2026, by the way, is to play Red Rocks. Whatever I got to do between now and 2026, I have to earn my way to Red Rocks. But that's not what you asked. So the Opry, man, so when I first moved to town and I wasn't making money playing music, I had to figure out another job path. We talked about security. Well, one of the places I worked security was the Grand Ole Opry.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I did security there for 2 years. And in that 2 years, the same people that employed me as a security officer are the same people that brought me on to make my Opry debut 5 years later. So super just exciting time to get to play the Opry. It's awesome, man. It's
what's it like to sit on there?
Yeah, man. Stand in that circle people struggle, that people that have done it, they struggle to put it into words. And truly, I don't know that it can be 100% put into words, but it's a certain energy that it connects you to that audience because that audience, they showed up at the Opry that day because they understand the gravity of what the Opry is and what that circle means. And then you walk out on that stage and step in that circle with that same understanding, and it connects the performer and the audience in a way that I haven't necessarily experienced anywhere else. And I think that's one thing that makes the Opry stand out amongst all these venues, but it's literally, they say the Opry made country music famous, and it did. Country music would most likely not exist if it wasn't for the Opry. And so just even performing and being backstage and waiting to walk out there and perform,
it's wild.
It's
backstage.
all a blur. It's so overwhelming every single time. I've done it 31 times now, which is funny because I'm 31 years old. But yeah, it goes by so fast, and you don't sleep that night. I don't care how many times you do the Opry. When you go home, you don't sleep, because it's just, you're on it's just such an overwhelming energy.
Speaking of adrenaline, talk to me about that show you did with Brooks and Dunn in San Antonio, Texas, at the AT&T Center. What do you say, 40,000?
Yes.
What was that like?
It was incredible. Still the most people I've ever played for. I do remember I got to meet Ronnie and Kix, and they were so nice and they were so awesome. And I actually did that night. Was also Jordan Davis was on the bill. It was incredible. These people probably individually wasn't screaming very loud, like maybe they were, but collectively 40,000 people screaming. It feels like they're screaming at you is like the amount of force of like a daggone bomb going off in your soul. It's like, wow. It's almost like you have to fight to remember your words, that you're so distracted by, in the most awesomest way ever, by all those people just, and like I said, Brooks and Dunn is one of my favorites of all time. I mean, Ronnie Dunn, to me, as a singer, I sing the way I sing and Ronnie Dunn is to blame for it. Like, I love Ronnie Dunn singing so much, and Kix is fantastic as well. Great singer. And they're both fantastic songwriters. Just so humbled to say I got to tour with them, you know.
I mean, that's something that a handful. I was not going to say nobody, but I was going to say less than 1% of the world will ever see 40,000 people and have lights, camera, action on them.
Man,
you're in a small company for that to happen, and I can only imagine. And I love that it was in the AT&T Center because that's home turf for me. But also, it's home turf in San Antonio, being a military city. Is you talk about blue collar, you talk about long necks, you talk about just honky-tonk.
Dude.
Bro, I can only imagine your music must have made such a wave.
Oh my gosh, man. Yeah, I still, man, every time we go back and play there, you know, we'll play to quickly reference where we played in San Antonio, but recently we did. And I still feel the effects from that 2 years ago. I mean, like, people still show up to my show. It's a market that I consider one of my strongest because of that show. So yeah, and people come up to me all the time like, I saw you in San Antonio with Brooks and Dunn. It's like, that was a night I'll never forget, man. And Brooks and Dunn's crew and everybody were super.
I hear great things about their. I hear it's such top notch.
Oh, it
Everyone
is.
from the people that are staging to the people backstage. I hear that Brooks and Dunn's team is amazing.
Yeah, and dude, talking about San Antonio, one of my favorite places on earth. Like, I'd go there any second of any day and just enjoy life is Riverwalk.
I'm just so happy you didn't say the Alamo, because that was going to be such a load of crap.
Yeah.
No disrespect. I'm not from San Antonio, so I can say that.
Well, it ain't too far from Riverwalk, but,
well, you're right.
But no, man, I love getting down there and eating that good food and just the sights and everything. And it's always been a good time. San Antonio, one of my favorite places for sure.
Well, when we're filming this right now, I guess the Final Four is there right now.
Yeah.
So today's the final day. But speaking of, real quick, going back a little bit and talking about just these amazing stages that you played with. You played with Kojo.
Yeah.
You played with Jon Pardi.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, give me some names that you've also played with that I just didn't mention.
Sure. Yeah, man. My first ever, like, tour moment that I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. Like, I'm living the dream was I got to do 5 or 6 shows with the Lynyrd Skynyrd in 2018, which was super cool because Rosington was still there and I got to meet Gary Rosington. And so that stands out in my mind. But fast forward, man, I've toured with Luke Bryan. I went to Europe with Jon Pardi. Toured with Luke Bryan last year. Went to Europe and toured Europe with Jon Pardi, who is just one of the greatest dudes ever. I mean, this dude, he is a fantastic guy. He never let fame go to his head, whatever that means, but he's obviously, like, I look up to him so much as a songwriter and as a singer. He's one of the greatest singers. He's got an album that he's been working on he's starting to release songs from, and it's going to come out this year. It's so good. I mean, he's just, but anyway, I love Jon Pardi, obviously.
And you said Europe.
Yeah,
you said Europe, and I not to break you on your train of thought there, because one thing that everyone talks about when they're sitting in that chair right there is how amazing it is in Europe.
Yeah.
And the fan base there is just totally tuned in.
Yeah, man. It's, it's cool to see the new energy. Country music, though country bands and artists have toured over there for years, it's still fairly a new thing over there. So, like, they're seeing a lot of times, I would say 50, 60, 70% of those people that show up, if you went there right now, they would be seeing their first ever country concert. So here it's much more common, right? So these people have already seen, I mean, people come to me, they're like, you're my 47th concert, and I've seen this person and this person and this person. And so over there, there's a lot of new energy, man. It's a different thing. They don't really know how to act at a country concert. We're used to, people, they're already out there holding up their signs and throwing their cell phone on stage.
Throwing things on stage here.
They come in and they're quiet as a mouse because they respect the music so much that they want to be able to make out the lyrics and everything.
How does your music do in that environment? Because there's some people that I've had on this share that have very much, like, toned, very slow, melodic.
Yeah.
But then when we're talking about you, we're talking about high energy, high tempo. So what's that like?
They're here for it, man. Like when I first walk out and I introduce myself to them, they're like, okay, we're listening. But when we start breaking out the good stuff and we're playing the up tempo stuff and we're rocking, they're like, they respond. They're like, oh, we're doing this. All right. And then next thing you know, they're stomping and partying with you. And so, no, they understand the assignment, but it's so cool to feel that new energy of them. Like, this is my first ever country concert. I think they probably have so much fun. Like I remember my first concert, I was just absolutely, I was drooling like, oh my gosh, what am I seeing right now? And it was Lynyrd Skynyrd. Yeah, it's
makes sense. I mean, speaking of concerts and going to concerts, do you know how to two-step?
My wife tells me I don't, but I think I kind of do, maybe a little bit. Yeah, it's like 2 on this side and 1 on this side and 2 on this side.
What's it
like?
like?
I know that much, but
what's it like when you go to venues and you see people two-step into your music? Because I remember Kylie Frey said this one time in here. She said that how important music is. If you can make Texans dance, that's how great your music is. How do you feel when people dance to your music?
Well, I did learn from the school of Jon Pardi on that. Jon Pardi's always been a big advocate of like making people dance, And so Jon Pardi produces some of my music. The Son of an album he produced, him and Ryan Gore produced most of that one, and then some of the album that I have coming out this year is produced by Ryan Gore and Jon Pardi as well, and Jared Conrad produced the rest. But John is always about that, like whatever that tempo is that gets people moving, man. And so he taught me a valuable lesson. He said, if you put out music that makes people dance, you will have a timeless career. And I'm like, well, that sounds like exactly what I want. So let's just keep doing that. And so it's been so much fun, man. It's a lot of fun to have fun at the concerts. I did, there's something about, when you first become a songwriter, there's a certain thing that makes you feel compelled and maybe a little obligated to write sad songs. It's like the first ever response as a songwriter. I have to write all my deepest, darkest secrets in this song. And that's fantastic, right? I love that about songwriting, and I still do that on occasion. But there was a point that I hit, I'm like, I need to start writing some songs that make me, at least if nothing else, I have fun on stage too, because if I'm not having fun, they're not having fun.
100%.
And so I just shifted into this thing of like, man, and also Montgomery Gentry, my Uncle Eddie, half of that duo, they were a huge influence on me. I grew up going and seeing their shows, and looked up to Troy Gentry and my Uncle Eddie so much, and loved their music. I loved how they could sing a song that would make you want to jump on a Harley Davidson and go like, and then they'd sing a song that was patriotic, and then they'd sing a song that would make you, feel love and feel, and then they'd sing one that make you want to throw a daggone bottle of whiskey up and party your hind end off. It's like I love that approach in songwriting.
Well, you talk about the tearjerker songs.
Yeah.
Well, I was listening to it today in the gym, and Somewhere She Ain't, bro.
Yeah.
got a little bit on me when I was hitting back day. And it was the weirdest feeling, man, because, I think about the people that are important to our lives, right?
Yeah.
The women in our lives are probably making all the moves.
Yeah.
And when I heard, Somewhere She Ain't, man, it touched me and made me think of my girl. And I can only imagine that's how you feel when you think of your girl. But talk about that song a little bit.
Well, there's a lyric in there that says little white Jeep. My wife still to this day drives a little white Jeep. So, I'm always putting my wife, Shayla, in songs and lyrics, but yeah, man, that song, sometimes you just get, you don't know what you did different that day, but you get a song that has that timeless. I think that song is, because you're not the only person that's brought that song up, and there's that song wasn't released to be a focus track. I mean, it was just like kind of like a deep cut on the album, and people bring that song up all the time. It's my band's favorite song. They're every year they're like, we adding Somewhere She Ain't to the set this year, and I'm like, well, maybe we should. You know, I mean, daggone, man. But yeah,
you think about everyone who's going to a show. I would think a lot of people that are going to shows aren't going alone.
Yep.
And there's nothing better than having your
moment.
honey, holding her while you're singing, or anyone singing. There's nothing better than that. That's the reason why you go to these concerts.
Yep.
And I'm not saying this is my plea to have it in on your tour this year. And speaking of that, we gotta take another quick break.
Yeah.
We're gonna come back. We're gonna talk about the tour that you're gonna be doing this year.
Yeah.
And then I got a fun game to play with you.
Okay,
right?
let's do it.
All right. Pause. Oh, I didn't see you guys there. Hey, if you're enjoying the content that we provide, please consider subscribing to our Heart of the Gulch YouTube show. Hit the subscribe button that's right in front of you, or hit the Heart of the Gulch logo over here in the corner. And of course, like magic, hit the recommended subscribe button that's over here in the banner. We would love to have you guys here at the Heart of the Gulch YouTube channel, and let's get you back onto that interview right now. So there's one thing I learned about growing up in Texas, and that's how important honky-tonks are. Real places where people can get there and dance, or, get upset or fight, or you just name it. That is what a honky-tonk means to me in Texas.
Yep.
What's it like for you going through that circuit instead of, today there's a lot of people that are on TikTok that have never played a honky-tonk in their life.
I think there's a value to getting out there. Let me put it to you this way. If I was just starting right now, I would absolutely utilize TikTok. You have to. It's just the reality of the situation. What I would do is, in my spare time, I would still go play honky-tonks and cut my teeth there, because you really learn how to perform for people. If you can perform for 15 people that are trying their best to ignore you, you know what I mean? And you can learn how to get their attention. You can absolutely conquer 20,000 people that are there to see if you've got the chops or not. When people show up to an arena to see Cody Johnson, if they're there for the opener, they're watching this opener and they're going, do I like this person the same? Could I potentially be a fan of this person the same way I'm a fan of Cody Johnson? That was how I was approaching the Cody Johnson tour. And so what I'm saying here is, if you can entertain 15 people that are trying to ignore you, you can entertain 20,000 people that are there to see music. You know what I mean? So I learned early on how to, the different ways of just trying to get those people's attention. And I, when you're out there, and if they're not putting tips in the tip jar and you ain't going to be able to pay your rent, you learn how to entertain those folks real quick.
100%. And also, you talked about, you briefly mentioned the tour, right, that you were just on, the Kojo tour.
Yeah.
Now, I saw a video on your Instagram that you were out in the state, you were out in the public while he was performing here in Nashville. Yeah. Now, I'm guessing the way you just framed opening up is exactly how I wish everyone viewed it.
Yeah.
Because people that open up for artists don't necessarily view it like, I'm trying to win over these fans.
Yeah. I don't feel like you can effectively take the steps without being there first.
Yep.
Because, and I bet Cody Johnson would say the same thing, because, Kojo he started off in honky-tonks too. And then he slowly, over a 20-year, incredible.
I remember. I was at Texas A&M.
He inspires me so much. It's incredible to see. But yeah, it's like baby steps, and TikTok, and I'm rephrasing what I said earlier. TikTok sometimes makes me feel like it's skipping those steps for a lot of people that are blowing up on there.
100%.
And that makes me nervous for those people. I could not imagine blowing up on TikTok and being invited to a tour to that level, to that magnitude, and then never having performed live, and then playing in front of 20,000 people. I would absolutely bomb it. Like, I even remember going on stage in front of all those people and going, okay, it's just a honky-tonk. It's just a honky-tonk. Otherwise I would have walked up there and just been like frozen, And I went up there and I treated those people like we were at a honky-tonk. And Cody did the same thing, man. He gets up there and he is like just absolutely making eye contact with everybody in the audience. He is making them cry, and then he's making them dance, and then he's, it's just like, it's so cool to see. So
you're doing the same thing, bro. Yeah. And I mean, the crazy thing is you're absolutely right. Imagine someone, no disrespect to anyone, because you get it how you get it. I want you to be successful. I don't care if you're doing it in front of your phone or if you're doing it in a honky-tonk, but there's something about that rawness of being with the people that do not necessarily are there for you,
right?
But you're just there to provide what's important in not only Nashville, across the globe, and that's playing music.
Yeah, and there's a common misconception with performing live. People say, "Oh, well, if you're going to get nervous, just pretend like they're not there. Just pretend like you're at home or whatever." No, that's not right. You have to be with them. You have to know they're there, and you have to interact with those people. That's the number one. I actually want to get into stage coaching. I was messaging a friend this morning about, hey, don't forget, I love, if you got any artists that you want to send my way, I'd love to do some stage coaching and talk to people about how to interact with the audience, because it's so important. It's so important to gain fans.
Let's talk about your tour real quick. So you got how long is the tour this year that you got pulling up?
Well, it'll be mainly summer and fall. Yeah.
So name some places that you guys are working out.
Sure. Yeah, man, we're going to Biloxi. We're going to, like I said, we're working on a Texas run. We're doing Ohio, Wisconsin, Tampa, Florida. We're leaving tonight to go to Phoenix. We're doing Country Thunder this weekend.
Hey, I love that.
Near Phoenix, Arizona. And gosh, we're actually working on a couple things out in Colorado. Hopefully we can lock that down. I can't disclose too much information.
And neither can I.
Yeah. Gosh, man, the Carolinas, we love the Carolinas, and man, we'll go up to the Northeast here in a couple of weeks. We'll be up in literally everywhere. And
do you like touring?
I love touring, man. It's my bread and butter. I mean, it's what I'm best at. It's what I enjoy recording and writing songs, so much. I love everything about music, but touring, man, that's where I get my kicks. And it's
your wife comes too along.
My wife
right?
does, yeah. So my wife, little intel, little secret here. My wife actually runs my social media. She's really, really good at it, and she has changed everything about the trajectory of my career by running that social media. I'm not the most social media savvy dude, even though I respect it and I try my best. But at the end of the day, I'm just a country boy, and it's not something that happens naturally for me. But Shayla is so good at it, and
I hope you're writing a check.
Yeah,
I hope so, because a social media job is not an easy job to have.
It is not an easy job, and basically our way we do it is I set up all the cameras and I do I try to get the content myself. And then I send her the content, and she does the posting, and she interacts with and I do see, all the comments and messages that get sent. She forwards them. I see all of them. If I'm not sitting right next to her and she's reading it to me, I always hear all of the stuff anybody sends. I have a fan club on Facebook called the official Dillon Carmichael fan club. So original. Now it's actually good. It's actually good that it's that simple, because it's easy to remember.
Yeah, you remember
and
it.
So we just hit 10,000. I mean, I'm talking about, these are diehard fans. Like, if I had to go to battle and I sent these people my address, I'd have 10,000 people in my front yard ready to go to battle.
Well, shout out to them.
Awesome. Yeah, the Facebook, and it's fan ran. So a guy named Steve and a guy named Kyle, they're both from my hometown. And actually, I think Kyle's like my third cousin, but they run the fan page on Facebook, and it's this anomaly. It's amazing to see it happen. But yeah, so we interact with that, and we send out exclusive content. So if anybody out there has Facebook, go to the official Dillon Carmichael fan page.
You're so in tune with it, because I was telling you before we got on the cameras here is how much you are in tune with social media.
Yeah.
Because to see you on YouTube, us being a YouTube show, it's so refreshing to me to see you comment. So is that you commenting, or is that your wife commenting?
Yeah, no, she comments.
Okay,
she comments.
It's amazing to see you
if it's like
being proactive.
No, it's super cool, man. I love that social media allows me to have conversations with my fans when otherwise I wouldn't see them till they come to a show in person, you know?
Yeah. How's it feel, man, to have a fan base, to have people that, you know, fall in love with your music just the way I did this past week, right? Like, you know, going into this, I knew who you were. I've listened to songs that you've had, but I truly got to feel it when I was in my environment, purely listen to your music. And you know my schedule coming up this month.
Yeah.
I got a lot of people to listen to music, but I couldn't stop listening to yours.
That means the world. Thank you for sharing that, brother. How does it feel, man? It's, you know, the music industry can be discouraging at times, and I don't care what level you're at.
100%.
You know, my fans, when they give me encouragement to keep going. And so when I say there's no way I could be here without these people, I mean it. I mean it. There's no way that I could be still doing this without those fans. So it's an overwhelming feeling, man. I mean, it's incredible.
So for this upcoming album, I'm curious to know the vibe for this album. What's it going to be like? Is it going to be just as up-tempo as Son of a?
This album is just as much up-tempo as the other one, maybe a little more even. It's a little edgier than the last one. Yeah, there's a couple things on there that's a little edgier. It has a couple tongue-in-cheek moments, little kind of, you know, lighthearted, funny. I'll reference Sawing Logs if you happen to stumble upon my song Sawing Logs. There's a song on there similar to that. You're getting rock, you're getting traditional country. I mean, there's a few songs on there that's Randy Travis, Keith Whitley. I mean, country. That
you better have some beer songs in there.
Yeah. Oh, come on. You know it.
Well, you know, all right. So we got to take another quick break. We got to play this game because I'm not letting you go without playing this game. Put it right here and give it a good spin.
All right, here we go.
There you go.
I did the same.
There was a different tone in that. There you go. All right,
okay.
Come on.
Okay.
Go ahead and read it out.
Most embarrassing moment on stage. Okay, I got it. I got that one. There was one time in Columbus, Ohio, where, and I've done the zipper check ever since, and I actually saw somebody on stage the other day, and I didn't say anything to anyone, but their zipper was down. My zipper worked its way down, and I was literally on stage with this like massive hole in the front, and right under my guitar. You could see it. Just my pants were just split open. The good thing is, obviously, I was wearing underwear. Thank God I was wearing underwear.
Did you see pictures of that, or how did you find out?
I got off stage and I was like, I just noticed that it was down. I was like, was it down the whole time? And then somebody mentioned, yeah, it was down the whole time. Why did you tell me?
That is wild, because whenever someone answers that question, it's either two things. Has to do with the capo.
Yeah.
Or it has to do with their pants ripping.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but on stage, it just seems like pants and capos just seem to change everything.
Yeah, man. Pants and stage. Shoot. Lenny Kravitz.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know about this.
No, tell me.
Google that later.
Okay. All right. Come on. Spin another one in here. You may break the streak. Let's see.
Favorite gig story and why?
There you go.
Okay. Favorite gig story. Man, I've got so many great ones. It's hard to pick. This one's pretty cool. This is a true story. I had just released my first album, and I had seen this documentary about Lynyrd Skynyrd, and there was a gentleman on there, and he now owns the property that the plane crashed on. And him and I were just talking on like Facebook Messenger or whatever, and I still owe this guy $10 for shipping for this thing. But he basically was like, hey man, I know you love Skynyrd. He's like, I've got a Skynyrd museum down here. He's like, I've got all the, different parts of the plane crash and historical items and stuff. He said, I want to send you a special little thing. So he sent just a couple like little, like a piece of carpet and a piece of metal and things from the plane. And I don't know. I was pretty excited about it because I'm just like, this is cool. Like this is the carpet that the '70s. I love history and especially music history. And so anyway, I had thrown it in my backpack. I'm sure TSA was like, why does he have a random piece of carpet and a piece of
that is the scariest mojo ever. You threw that on a backpack on a plane?
Well, that's the crazy thing. So here's the story, and this is God's honest truth. I was doing a radio show in Greenville, South Carolina. I don't know what I was going to do with this later, but anyway, I had it in my backpack. And I did a radio show in Greenville, South Carolina, and my label had bought me a plane ticket to go catch up with my band. My band was on their way to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and I was going to fly from Greenville to Baton Rouge to meet them. And so I'm on this plane, and it occurs to me that I'm flying from the same place the Lynyrd Skynyrd plane had taken off from to the same place they were flying to, okay, with a piece of the plane in my backpack on October 20th, exactly 40 years after the plane crash, on the day of the anniversary, October 20th, to open up for Lynyrd Skynyrd. And I was like, what does this mean? I had
you know exactly what that means. What are you talking?
I don't know.
I'm surprised you're standing here today.
Well,
dude.
That's true. I know. I'm like, gosh, is this plane like?
That's some Final Destination stuff.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, I was sweating. I was like, shoo. But no, I mean, but once the plane landed, I'm like, this is so many. This is just. There's no way this is a coincidence.
I mean,
maybe it's one of those things of like, I'm where I need to be. You know,
100%. You could look at it that way too.
Yeah.
That is an amazing way to look at it. But me being, I'm not afraid to fly, but I'm not going to be the first to fly.
Right. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of it either.
And to be fair with you, bro, that whole scenario, I would have touched with a million years.
Dude.
And my girlfriend's smiling right now because I would never even a million years think about even having that on my person on a plane. And the fact that all that lined up there is something that is absolutely insane. And yeah, that I guess that's the best way. Since you're here talking to me today, you were in the right place at the right time with the right exact thing.
I guess I was doing exactly what I needed to be doing at that time. I'm not sure. I'm still trying to figure out what it means. Maybe it was just a coincidence.
I'm going to give you this tablet, and what I'm going to do is there's some photos on here. I just want you to tell me, you don't have to tell me a long story or just tell me a word. It's called the name game.
Okay.
Some photos of some folks that you may recognize and just tell me a little quick tidbit about it. So all you got to do is move to the left.
Yeah. Okay.
Here you go.
Well, that's
who are we starting off with?
That's Jon Pardi. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Jon is he's from Northern California. So if y'all are familiar with the Bakersfield sound, kind of that area, and you can hear it in his music. But no, he's I talked a lot about Jon earlier, but fantastic guy. Look up to him as a songwriter and a vocalist. He's fantastic.
What's he like in the studio?
Well, you know what? He's got a wonderful ear for music and production, and he actually co-produces a lot of his stuff that he does, and a lot of people don't know that. But yeah, he's got a great ear in the studio, and he's earned it. He's worked really hard. He was around. He put out a couple albums before he actually ever had any. Had a number one with Head Over Boots. He's a resilient character, and he's a family man. He's a great dude. So I'm gonna scroll on since I already talked about Cody Johnson. Cody's man. I'm getting to know Cody. We toured together last year. It was the first time I'd ever met him. I've known Jon for 8 years. Man, I was so impressed with Cody, and I'm not surprised that I am, because I've been around a few people that have known him for a long time, and they've said such great things. He's got a wonderful reputation, but man, he treated us so good, and he has such a great work ethic. He's so inspiring. I was talking about how discouraged you can get in the music business. Well, this is a guy that was in the trenches for 2 decades before he had his, he's had different levels of success, but reaching the magnitude of the success.
In Texas, he's always had everyone's hearts.
Oh,
but
yeah.
It's amazing to see that he's capturing the hearts of the whole United States and the world now.
Yeah. So fantastic guy. Like I said, would love to get to know him some more. Would love to do more shows with him and stuff too. But these are the kind, this is the kind, him and his team are the kind of people I want to hang around with. So, all right, what we got now? Oh, so that is Jon Michael on the left. That's my uncle. That's my mom's brother. In the middle is Walker Montgomery. That is my first cousin, Jon Michael's son. And on the right is Eddie Montgomery from Montgomery Gentry. Those two fellas on the outside are my mom's brothers. And so yeah, I grew up, going to their shows and being around them, and music has always been a big part of my family and my raising. So this picture just reminds me of home. I don't get to see those guys as much as I used to, but I love them, and they're great dudes. Brooks and Dunn. Yeah, man, that's awesome. I love how Ronnie stands and kicks. They stand in a way where when you say Brooks and Dunn, it like lines up.
It lines up.
Yeah. But no, it's awesome. I spent more time with Kix than I did with Ronnie, and Kix was just the nicest dude ever. But they both were awesome dudes, and such a cool opportunity to get to open for them. And they have a manager who he's really helped me and kind of consulted me since I moved to Nashville. Is a great guy as well. So it's not only are those guys great, their team and everybody around them's fantastic. That picture, that's some. Yeah, so this is Parker and Joe Diffie. So Parker is 13 years old. He's a Yorkie. We're talking about Yorkies. Shayla had Parker when we started dating, so I adopted him. I didn't even know what a Yorkie was before that, but I fell in love with this dog. These are the greatest dogs, most underrated dogs, Yorkies. And so we ended up getting another one, and we had to name him Joe Diffie. It was right around the time Joe Diffie, passed away, and we were like, we're going to do this as a tribute. And yeah, these are great dogs, man. That's my boys right there.
That's absolutely incredible. I appreciate you going through all that little bit of info for everyone. Now, the first question always has to do with imposter syndrome. We kind of briefly touched about it a little bit, because there's people that are watching this today that, want to do something. They want to go with their passion, but they're a little scared to take that jump.
Sure.
And it's that imposter syndrome within them saying maybe you shouldn't.
Right.
Maybe back in the day when you were bouncing, right, you didn't know where your life was going to go to.
Right.
But how do you not let imposter syndrome keep you down today?
Yeah.
And what pieces of advice can you give them to not let them stay down?
Yeah. Well, I think it's important outside of just your, what your goals are as a profession, but as a person, really looking in the mirror and identifying who you are. Who is this person? Like, it's important to, I said earlier, remember where you come from, think about your experiences, learn from those. And I feel like when you're writing songs and you're coming up with your messaging on what you want to say to people, does that align with the person that I am? I think as long as you do that, you don't have to worry about imposter syndrome. I think that it will come across as authentic, and I think that it will be the right thing. The only thing is that, I've experienced this in my career of maybe something doesn't perform as well, like an album or a song doesn't perform as well as you were hoping. And you might say to yourself, well, I really poured my heart and soul into that, and it didn't work. It's okay to pivot as long as you're keeping it real and authentic to yourself. It takes a long time. Even real stuff, even authentic stuff doesn't necessarily immediately mean success. And I wish somebody would have told me that, because you really got to stick with your guns, and do you, and not get to, it's so easy to go, well, this other thing's popular and it's not really me. It doesn't really align with my character, but man, well, maybe I could just do that and then I'll have some success, and then later you can get swallowed up into that world so much. And it is challenging. Like we were talking about Cody Johnson. He actually gave me some of this advice. He said, man, even if it takes 20 years, if you do something that's authentic to you and you're being real, eventually it will pay off, and you won't have any regrets. You know,
just can't stop.
Yeah.
It's putting one foot in front of the other
Yep.
and not letting that deter you even when the times get low. Because I can tell you right now, you're probably at a job. Sometimes you're having the best day at the job.
Yep.
Sometimes you're having the worst day in your job.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if you just keep one foot in front of the other, you can get past this. There's nothing in life that God doesn't allow you to do.
Yep.
Now, last question.
And have fun with it. And have
100%.
fun with it is super important. You got to throw that in there.
Now, my last question in the show. It's 2025. We're filming this in April of 2025.
Yeah.
This will be out probably the last week of April.
Yep.
So
Okay,
I'm
awesome.
excited to know what you got. What are you excited for the rest of 2025 and top of 2026?
Yeah. Oh man, I'm excited to. I don't know how to really put it into words. I'm excited to. I'm the most motivated now than ever. So I don't know what the things are exactly that made me feel this way, but maybe it's the new album. You know, we've had some really great tour dates and stuff come in this year, so I'm excited to tour, and I'm really excited about, like, we had some successful live streams and stuff, so I'm kind of getting into that. In fact, I'm starting, not nearly as cool as yours, I can assure you, but starting at dabbling in a podcast for fun.
I can see you having fun with that.
Yeah.
Though.
And so doing that's called Keepin Country Alive. And so that's going to come out in the summer, June. So I'm really, really excited about that, man. I've not done a whole lot. I've done a whole lot of singing and not a whole lot of talking. So I'm excited to tell my story a little bit.
You're natural at it, man.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Dillon, thank you so much for coming on Heart of the Gulch,
dude.
man.
Yeah, man. That's awesome.
Dude, it was such a great time talking to you, man, and I'm excited to see everything you do in 2025. My name is Tony Mendoza. We're still here in the Heart of the Gulch, and I'll see you guys next time. See y'all later. Damn, bro, you killed that.
Thanks,
that was
man.
that was so fun.